This is really bad. And I guess I would start by saying this. I want everybody to take a moment here and try to remember what you felt like when Trump won the election exactly a year ago. So Trump won the election, November 5th last year? So it's about a year and a week ago. And do you remember the exuberance of that night? The hype? How excited everybody was. Trump wins in a landslide. He wins the popular vote. And it wasn't just that he won. Remember the sentiment. The sentiment was, it will be different this time. They said, it will be different this time. Golden age. It's going to be a golden age. A truly golden age. You're going back. You're going back, they said. You have 50 days until all illegals will be deported. Remember this? They said, we're going to cut the deficit by $2 trillion. Remember Elon Musk was in the White House? Yeah, you forgot. It got memory hold. Remember Doge? Department of Government Efficiency, like the meme coin? We're going to cut $2 trillion from the deficit. We're going to deport millions of people. We're going to eliminate the Department of Education. We're going to build the wall. We're going to end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. Remember? Everybody thought it was going to be Trump and Vivek and Elon and Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. dancing to Staying Alive while they shrank the government and, introduced the golden age and everything would be great. Remember this? Those are the vibes coming in to the election. You might recall I did not vote. I did not vote at all. I didn't tell people to vote for Kamala. I didn't vote for Kamala. I didn't vote for Trump either. I told people to recuse themselves. Why? Because I anticipated every single thing that happened this year. I told you exactly how it was going to go and why. And when I started to notice this was roughly around May during the election last year, when Nikki Haley went to Israel on Trump's behalf, dropped out of the primary, which was ongoing, and endorsed him. And then Miriam Adelson promised to cut him a check for $100 million.
$100 million. Do you hear this? This is actually insane, right? And then you still have people who really believe that Donald Trump cares about you and me, like the average Americans. Believe me, he doesn't. He cares about those biggest donors, or actually he has to do what those biggest donors want. And this is so sad because Donald Trump was picturing himself as like a MAGA guy, an American first guy, and that he was helping us, but he isn't. And this is so sad because he promised us so much and he delivered almost nothing. And again, I'm not trying here to attack Donald Trump or something. I also fell for it. I really like the guy, to be honest. But now, day after day, we can just see that Donald Trump is not doing anything. He is busy with almost every country in the world, every foreign war, but he is not busy with our own country. This is actually so sad to see, and so many people lost hope in Donald Trump. I believe he will lose the midterms big time. But again, correct me if I'm wrong, but Donald Trump, he lost so many voters. It's actually insane. And it's so sad because he pictured himself as like the savior of the United States. It's completely the opposite now.
That's when I knew something was up. Because Trump did not secure Haley's exit from the race and endorsement and the commitment from Miriam Adelson without some sort of quid pro quo, without a deal. He cut another deal. And then about a month later in June, Trump was on the All In podcast with David Sachs after he visited his house in San Francisco for a fundraiser where Silicon Valley poured millions into his campaign. That was another red flag. And during that All In appearance on the podcast, he said we were going to staple green cards to diplomas, the age-old policy that never seems to die. They promised they're going to give permanent residency to every foreign student that graduates from any degree program in the United States. Horrible open borders, America last policy. It was those two things, but there were others too. Those were the first major things that made me say, you know what? This is not going to be different. It's going to be exactly like the first term. They're going to make all the same mistakes, the same personnel mistakes. They don't have a plan. They're not organized. They're selling out. I knew it then. And so I told people, look, you're not going to get mass deportations. You're not going to get America First immigration policy. You're going to get a war with Iran. They're not going to be able to end this war in Ukraine. Like, none of the things they're promising are actually going to come true. And people told me I was a Democrat. Brutal. People said, you're a Democrat infiltrator. They said I was working for Kamala. They said I took a deal to get out of prosecution for January 6th. And the deal was that, if the FBI didn't charge me, that I would help the Democrats win the election. Like, that's what they were saying about me. Because I predicted everything correctly. Fast forward to the election, people said, oh man, plan trusters are in control. We win. It's going to be different this time. And then one thing after the other. First, they pick a cabinet of all neocons. Matt Gaetz drops out of Congress, isn't the attorney general. We get Rubio for state. We get Ratcliffe at the CIA. We get Waltz at the National Security Council. He's working for Israel. Then on Christmas, Trump isn't even inaugurated. And on Christmas, we have a full-fledged meltdown from Vivek and Elon saying, if you don't like H-1B visas, you're a racist, and we're going to kick you out of the Republican Party, and you're a cancer, and you're scum. I was on Christmas. And it went on and on and on like this. The failure to carry out the mass deportations, the multiple visits from Israel, bombing Iran, the burying of the Epstein files, the carve-outs for farm workers, the corporate tax, one thing after the next.
Exactly, and this is such a joke because I almost feel like we have more problems now than before we had with Trump. And it hurts to say because, again, I really liked him. But what did Donald Trump actually do for us? And I know you have people who will say, yeah, but he is in office for 1 year. Yeah, that is true. But again, what did he do in the past year? Almost nothing, right? I feel like we have more problems now than before. Meanwhile, he said that he would solve all these things. He promised us so many things and he delivered almost nothing. And this is so sad because if Donald Trump is not gonna do this, who else is gonna do this? Because believe me, the next president will be a Democrat. I hope I'm wrong on this one, but I feel like the next president will be a Democrat. Excuse me. And so it's such a missed chance. Long story short, it's such a missed chance from Donald Trump that he is not doing anything now. He could do so much more instead of like being the whole time in Israel and all these other countries. He should be in the United States, focusing on the United States, focus on this country. We have enough work to do here. We have enough problems here what we should solve first. And he is not doing this. And this is why so many people regret voting on Trump. And it's so sad. It's just so sad what is going on now. So sad.
This is where I want to start. Let's recap how we got here. We came into this second term with high hopes. And again, the excitement, the hype, the promises, and the central idea was it will be different this time. They said Trump will finish the job. He's going to actually put America first. All you have to do is vote one more time. Ignore the haters, ignore the skeptics. Just vote one more time. It's going to be awesome. Well, here we are. And we have this interview from Laura Ingraham. She's at Fox News. She interviews Trump. This is a week after the first major election since the Trump victory. This is the off-year election, the governor's races in New Jersey and Virginia, mayoral election in New York City. First major test. How's Trump doing? It's a blowout for the Democrats. Democratic Socialist becomes mayor of New York City. Republicans do about 10 points worse in New Jersey, lose by double digits in Virginia. Even in Virginia, a statewide official wins after text messages come out where he's talking about killing Republicans. He somehow wins too. It's a bloodbath. It's, no pun intended, it's brutal. And why do Democrats win? They win in part because of the shutdown in Virginia, Northern Virginia, where people are affected because they work for the government or government contractors, but also because the vibes are off. People have a feeling that things are not going well, in particular with the economy. Prices remain high. Homeowners insurance remains high. Healthcare insurance is very high. Health insurance, I should say, is very high. And although inflation is stabilized, it's still a little high. Interest rates are still high, and the prices have not come down. At the same time, the job market's very bad. And so Americans are getting squeezed. There's a lot of signs that the economy is okay, it's chugging along, but there's also a lot of reasons to be worried. There's a lot of credit card debt. It seems that Americans are basically insolvent. Wealth is down. Everybody's feeling it. Everybody's feeling these cumulative effects of the inflation of the past 5 years, as well as the interest rates. It's been tough. So here we are a week after this blowout election. Republicans are losing because the economy sucks. And Trump comes out in the interview and he defends. He's given an opportunity. This is like a layup. This is a softball. Laura Ingraham serves it up. She says, so what do you think actually about the Chinese students? Which at one point it was said Trump was going to ban Chinese students from coming here altogether. All Chinese students would be barred from entering the country, and that was part of the trade war. That sounded good. And Trump did a 180. He said, actually, we're going to bring twice as many Chinese students in. Then he said, well, no, that's not what we meant. So Laura Ingraham asked him to clarify. This is what happened. This is from Fox News. It says, quote, President Trump on Monday defended his administration's plan to offer 600,000 visas to Chinese students. Laura Ingraham pressed him during an interview, questioning how the proposal was MAGA if it crowded out spots, excuse me, if it crowded out spots for American students and whether universities were getting rich from Chinese money. Trump argued that foreign students are actually vital to keeping U.S. universities financially stable. He said, quote, we do have a lot of people coming in from China. We always have, China and other countries. We have a massive system of colleges and universities, and if we were to cut that in half, which perhaps makes some people happy, you would have half the colleges in the United States, they would go out of business, he said. He said, I actually think it's good to have outside countries. Look, I want to be able to get along with the world, not with the French, though, he said. Laura Ingraham said, but the Chinese, they spy on us. They steal our intellectual property. Trump said, you think the French are better? Ingraham said, yeah, obviously. Trump said, I'm not so sure, citing French tariffs. He said, it's not that I want them, but I view it as a business. One thing you don't want is to cut half of the people, half of the students from all over the world and destroy our entire university and college system. I don't want to do that. The remarks mark a reversal from earlier this year when the Trump administration said it would aggressively revoke Chinese student visas amid espionage concerns. In August, Trump changed course and announced plans to expand the program dramatically. More than 277,000 Chinese students studied in the United States last year, according to the Institute of International Education. Now it's going to be 600,000.
600,000. Do you actually hear this? This is again another example. I'm sorry, I'm so done with like defending Donald Trump at this point. But how is this America first? How is this America first? If you're gonna let 600,000 people, Chinese students, into our country, that's 2 times more than 1 year before. So that means, because I don't have to explain you, those universities, they don't have unlimited spots. So if you take 600,000 Chinese students, that means, no matter how you want to turn it, less Americans who can apply to these universities. So this is not America first, this is China first, because again, that means that you should prioritize to put like American students first. American people should go to these universities. They should be schooled at those universities, not Chinese people. I mean, some Chinese people, that's okay, but 2 times more than before, 600,000. That's actually insane. And if all these people, if they just need it for the money, why do we have so many universities if they can't hold up by themselves? If we literally need Chinese students to pay for those universities, that says already enough. But this is actually insane. insane. I want Americans to go to these universities. I want Americans to have like good jobs. And yeah, I'm saying this as a foreigner myself. I'm a legal migrant myself. I said this over and over again. But I want Americans to succeed in their own country. And those are just Chinese students. Can you imagine how many from India are also coming, from Europe are also coming, and God knows how many more countries? That means less spots for Americans. And this is very important because this is not America first. Americans need to be put before all these other countries, if you ask me.
Okay? Pay attention to what Trump says here. He says, first of all, he says, I could cut the number of Chinese students in half and make some people happy, he said. But think of the universities. Then what would happen? That's one. Two, he said, I look at it as a business. It's a business. It's all about money. We need the Chinese money. So when Trump says that cutting the number of Chinese students would make some people happy, who do you think those people are? Exactly. It's his voters. When Trump says, well, you know, I could cut the number of Chinese students coming into America, I suppose that would make some people happy, he's referring to his voters who voted for him to do this. Your voters, the forgotten men and women of America, voted for you to do that, to put American students, their children, or themselves, ahead of the universities, which are run by our enemies, by the way. Academia is run by the left. Academia is run by liberals. Democrats, they do not support Trump or his government or Republicans. Universities are notorious for this. And Chinese students. So Trump says, well, I guess I could make you happy by doing what I promised. I guess I can make my voters happy by doing what I promised to do. But think about all the money. Think about the Chinese students and think about all the money that would go to the universities. I don't know. I think that it would actually be a good thing if we had fewer colleges and universities. If colleges and universities cannot exist without foreign money, then they shouldn't. Isn't that a simple and basic principle? We have too many colleges. We have too many college graduates. It's devaluing a college diploma. And by the way, the job market is frozen. You have a very high percentage of Americans with a college diploma, a college degree, but a much smaller percentage of them that actually have a job in the field that they got an education in. So if you have all these universities and all these students graduating and entering a very tight job market, if they can't exist without that arrangement, which is America Last, let them go out of business. Let them go out of business. Or better yet, let them economize. Maybe instead of spending all this money on state-of-the-art amenities and sports facilities and recreational facilities, I don't know, maybe you need to cut those things. Maybe you need to eliminate some of the programs there. But the whole point, that's beside the point. The whole point of electing Trump in the first place is that you're supposed to put Americans and their concerns first. And it goes without saying, if a Chinese student goes to Harvard or Yale, that is one less spot for an American. There are only so many spaces at elite schools. There's only so many seats there at elite public and private schools on the East Coast to West Coast, everywhere in between. Research universities, liberal arts universities, there's only so many spots. And if there are 600,000 Chinese students coming here, those are 600,000 seats that don't go to Americans.
Exactly, spot on. And this is literally what I just said, what I tried to explain. And I completely agree with this. And again, I'm a foreigner myself, but I would love to see Americans put ahead of like all these foreigners, because this is the United States, this is America. So why are this is not America first, right? Why is Donald Trump doing this? And this shows you again that Donald Trump is doing the opposite as what he promised, and he's doing this with so many things that people are so tired of Donald Trump. Seriously, this is not America first. And again, I wish more Americans could succeed in their own country. It's actually insane that you have 600,000 Chinese people coming in. And those are just Chinese people, what I said. You have so many more students coming in. So that means less Americans can take places on these universities. And this is such a shame, because this is not America first. These places should go to Americans. Of course, also some foreigners can come. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a hypocrite, but not so many, and that's literally so bad for like the own Americans, for just Americans. It's actually insane. And this shows you again, Donald Trump pictures himself as America first. He is acting, cosplaying like America first, but in reality he is doing something completely different, the opposite. Such a shame. Like, why is he doing this? I don't know. If someone knows the answer, please share it in the comments. But I feel like Donald Trump is a little bit controlled.
And I understand that maybe it's flexible, give or take 100 or 1,000 in a particular university. But if you're doubling the amount of Chinese students, if we're talking about 500,000 in a given year, there are Americans who won't be going to college this year because a Chinese student is. And the reason that we elected Trump in the first place in 2016 was to reverse those priorities and say, what about those American students actually? What about American human capital? What about Americans that have talents? America has a huge pool of highly skilled labor, or I should say human capital, with a high IQ, who are able to be educated, able to be trained, able to work in skilled fields. America has one of the highest, in terms of the index of human capital, we rank among the highest out of all the countries in the world. Surely we have the talent. Surely we have the people. What about those kids? Isn't that the whole point? Isn't why their parents voted for Trump? Isn't that why they voted for Trump? So, they would have the opportunity to go to college. And then, by the way, let's not forget where this leads. The whole point of going to the most selective college is so that you can be the most competitive in the job market. And at a time where entry-level positions in the best fields are scarce, at a time when the labor market is very tight, there's not a lot of firing, but there's also not a lot of hiring going on. People are looking for any way to get a leg up. And so if you're taking away those seats at colleges for students, you're also really taking away a very good livelihood for them too. It's not just that Chinese students are coming here to study, they're coming here to work. They're coming here to get a degree, and then they're going to get in the optional training program, and then they're going to get a job straight out of college. You're going to get one of the better jobs. You're going to get a STEM job. That's a job that could have then gone to an American. That's a lifetime. The whole American dream is you study hard, your parents pay high property taxes to send you to a good public high school where there aren't gang wars and black people getting in fights so that you can go to a good college. They pay for an SAT tutor. They pay for extracurriculars so you can get into a good college. You're supposed to then go to college, pay an arm and a leg for a good degree, and then you get a leg up and you get to enter into the workforce as a professional, get a nice white-collar job with a high salary, with good benefits, and then you get to get married. You get a big enough job in a competitive field, in a high-paying field. You're able to buy a home, get a wife, start a family. That's the deal. And that's how somebody goes from working class or lower middle class to upper middle class Or you get to be rich. That's the deal. That's the program. That's what it means to be America first, is to think of those people in Iowa, those people in Kansas, those people in South Dakota, wherever, and in California, New York too. But it's thinking about Americans going to college, to get jobs, to start families, to own homes, to lead good lives, to actually have prosperity in the American dream. That's the whole point.
Yes, and surprise, surprise, I completely agree with Nick. Nick is such a smart guy. Everything he just said, I completely agree with him. And I feel like you can disagree with him on this one. If you're America first, you can disagree with what Nick just said, because we should focus more on our own people, on Americans, instead of almost everyone else in the world. But again, this is just my opinion. I'm very curious about your opinion. Do you agree with Nick? Do you disagree with Nick? Please share your opinion in the comments. Very important to say, I read all comments, so I'm very curious. Also, I want to add one more thing. I made some new merch, some America First merch. So please, if you want to support the channel, take a look at my merch. Also, if you see something, if you have some feedback or if you like something, please share it with me. I'm very curious and I'm always open for some feedback. Last thing I want to add, if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you really like this video, consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. And last but not least, guys, I wish you all the best. Have a wonderful day and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.